All right. Thank you for joining in today in our session, the renewable energy event between Israel and Taiwan. So I'm Esther Teng, the trade officer of Israel Economic and Trade Mission in Taipei. And today we have a great lineup of speakers and companies that will be speaking in this event. So, all right, without further ado, I think we can have our session begin shortly. And today, we will have the head of the Israel Economic and Trade Mission in Taipei, Tzli Lahav, give us the welcome speech. All right, so Tzli.
Yes, thank you very much, Esther, and thank you everyone that is put in the time and the effort to be here with us today. I know that it has been a very, very challenging year, and who knows how many online events such as this you already had. So again, we're very much appreciative of your time and attention. Today's event could not have been achieved without the amazing help and work by Esther Teng, and I strongly encourage each and every one of you, either in Israel or in Taiwan, to reach out to our team here at the Israel Economic and Trade Mission in Taipei. Ask anything you would like to know about the domestic market here in Taiwan or about the technological opportunities in Israel. And with the help of our great partners in Israel, the Israeli Export Institute, which will speak immediately after me, we will do our utmost best to match you with the best partners in Israel and in Taiwan. Today's event will circle around the technologies of solar and energy storage, and it couldn't have been in a better window of times. To our friends in Israel, I can share with you that we've just had a referendum, Mish'al Am in Hebrew, in Taiwan, which had many different questions, but two of them were directly on the topic of today's event. In that referendum, the Taiwanese people voted against the continuation of the construction of a nuclear plant in Taiwan, meaning that nuclear energy will not be part of the energy that Taiwan's future will rely on. And they voted for the continuing of the construction of another liquid natural gas receiving station at the northern shores of Taiwan. As Israel-Taiwan is undergoing a tremendous change in the energy consumption and market, much like Israel, it's a mainly importer of energy. Unlike Israel, Taiwan does not enjoy a natural gas reservoirs in any proximity of the island. But it does have an amazing plans to reach their recent obligation of a zero emission by 2050, as was declared by the current administration in the recent Glasgow summit. Much like, by the way, the same declaration by the Israeli side. The two countries share many similarities and an amazing bilateral. Esther, if you can control and mute our friends, thank you. As I said, we share an amazing bilateral trade relations, and I am sure that we're going to see the clean tech sector taking a significant part of these relations in the years to come. Israel has an amazing technologies and amazing experience to share with our Taiwanese counterpart, specifically at the solar and energy storage fields. And I'm sure that our Taiwanese friends can share with us their recently claimed experience and best practices in wind energy, for example. So without further ado, I would like to thank all of you and wish us an amazing event today with interesting companies. If you would like to present any question during the event, please feel free to use the chat pane at the bottom of your screen and to bring up any questions to the entire participants. If you would like to hear more from any of the companies who participated today, please contact us at the Israeli Economic and Trade Mission in Taipei, and we will schedule you a B2B session with these companies. If you would like to hear more about the technologies from Israel, we will be very happy to work with you closely to identify your needs and to match them with relevant Israeli technologies and companies with the help of our friends in Israel, the Israeli Export Institute. So thank you again and have a great, great session.
Right, and the next is Ms. Hilal Liebman, the manager of Clean Tech and Context Sector from Israel Export Institute. Thank you, Hilal, for joining.
Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Tzlil, for this very interesting brief. So, hi, everyone. My name is Hilal Liebman. I'm the head of Clean Tech and Context Sector in Israeli Export Institute. And for those who are not familiar with us yet, it's a nonprofit and semi-governmental organization that assists Israeli emerging companies to seek business opportunities all over the world in over 10 different industries, such as energy, of course, agri-tech, cyber, medical, and much more. And I want to thank the Taipei Economic Trade Mission Office, and especially for you, Esther, for this joint effort creating this wonderful event. And for all the companies here today, I hope you have a fruitful activity. And of course, I will see you again in the near future. So good luck and thank you.
All right, thank you. So thank you, Hila, for mentioning about Israel Export Institute, because I'm sure some of the members in the audience from Taiwan may not have like a very complete idea about the institute, right? The Israel Export Institute. So thank you for explaining a little bit about that to the audience today. All right, so let's get into our next topic, which is a very important one about Taiwan's renewable energy sector and development. And we have our speaker, Ms. Tarsi Zhou from the Bureau of Energy in Taiwan. Thank you, Tarsi, for your time and for giving the speech on the development of green energy in Taiwan today.
Thank you, Esther. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to attend this meeting today. I'm Tarsi Zhou from Renewable Energy Project Office. So today I'm going to introduce the renewable energy development in Taiwan. And in my presentation, I will cover several topics. First one, I am going to introduce the energy situation in Taiwan and how we develop the energy transition right now. And then will be today's important focus, the renewable energy development. And then I will introduce the solar development and also the offshore wind, because this two renewable energy is our two focus today. Okay, so let's take a look at the energy situation in Taiwan. Nearly 98% of Taiwan's energy depends on importing from other countries, and also that we have only the isolated the power grid system. Therefore, the energy security is quite important for us. As you can see, we only have 2.2 indigenous energy from Taiwan, and it's mainly from renewables. Therefore, developing renewable energy and energy transition are the opportunity and key solution for us to ensuring the energy security. And talk about the energy transition. The government has announced the energy transition in 2016. The energy development as linked to national security, the rational mix of the all forms of energy at the various stage must be planned during transition process under the premise of ensuring stability and security for national energy supply. Information openings and information openings, public participation, and communication on policy is also very important for us. And we have the full dimension. One is the energy security, and then it will be the energy equality and green economy and environmental sustainability. We call it 4E. And about the energy transition in Taiwan, that we already have a clear target and pathway. And here is the detailed path for our energy transition of target by the year 2025. We are going to increase the natural gas power generation, increase to 50%, and reduce the coal-fired power generation to 27% by 2025. And in terms of renewable energy, the target is the would like to increase the current level from 5% to 20%. And we are going to achieve the nuclear free. And that's about the renewable energy development. The government is developing the renewable energy to reach the around 29 gigawatt of installed capacity by 2025. And so far, the total capacity of renewable energy was 9,482 megawatt at the end of last year. For the latest data, by October 2021, the renewable energy capacity is 10,979 megawatt. So in this chart, you can see that the renewable energy grows quickly recently, especially the red bar, the solar PV. And let's take a look at the share of renewable energy capacity in 2020. Solar PV count for 61% and hydropower counts for 22%. And about the historical background of the Renewable Energy Development, we will talk about the Renewable Energy Development Act. This act is implemented in 2009 and is the foundation of renewable energy development in Taiwan. This includes different aspects, including the fund establishment, and also we set the target, and also have includes the land use requirements. But the most important and the core strategy for this act is the feed-in tariff as our main incentive to for renewable energy development in Taiwan. And I'm going to introduce the FIT rate in Taiwan. So in this table, you can see that this rate is the latest one for this year. And this rate is updated every year. And we have a committee to decide the calculation formula to calculate the feed-in tariff. And the tariff and formula is well reviewed by every year, and also it's divided by the different technology, different capacity, and also different type of renewable energy. And the tariff rate is applied for 20 years. And this rate for renewable energy technology, the PPA, the power purchasing agreement, as the tariff rate is applied by the signing date. I point this out that because it will be a little different from this fourth renewable energy technology with the solar PV. This is the tariff rate for the solar PV. The solar PV the rate applied for the PPA for the solar PV, it will be the I'll say on the day when generating equipment installation are complete. The main thing why they are different that because the cost reduce quickly by the solar PV. So that's why it's a little bit different. And the solar PV tariff is also divided by different type of PV, including the rooftop, ground type, and floating solar PV. And about the solar PV development, the policy have been formulated to increase the solar PV installed capacity, planning to achieve the 20 gigawatt targets by 2025. which is estimated to generate around 25.6 kilowatt-hour annually. And we have two targets. One is for the rooftop, which is 8 gigawatts. And for the rooftop PV, since the 2016, the rooftop deployment was well executed and received an excellent result. So in the 2019, the original target actually is just it was just 3 gigawatts, and we reached ahead of the schedule. So in 2020, the government adjusts the target upward to 8 gigawatt. And for the ground type, the target it is 12 gigawatt. And it would like to add the land use value as a guiding principle as to ensure public consensus and no environmental and ecological concern. It's the primary zone for ground solar PV development. And I also show some picture that about the solar PV. And let's take a look at the offshore wind development. The total target for the offshore wind is we are going to achieve the 5.6 gigawatt by 2025. And we have the 3 phases for develop the offshore wind energy. According to the research of 4C Offshore, 16 of the top 20 offshore wind farms in the world are located in our straits. We are blessed with the ideal condition for developing offshore wind energy and also has become a key player in the global offshore wind markets. So the 3 phases, which they are the phase 1 demonstration incentive program. This program is the incentives for the pioneer, the government subsidy to wind farm by 2020. And for the phase 2 is the zone application for planning. This is the transition period. The government announced there are 36 zone of potential with the total 5.5 gigawatt allocated. And the government already complete the grid allocation process of the this phase. In 2018, award 5.5 gigawatt of capacity to be commissioned by 2025. And by selection is worth the 3.8 gigawatt, and by auction is worth the 1.7 gigawatt. Right now, it's in the phase 3. The phase 3, there will be the 1.5 gigawatt will be developed and released every year. And about this phase 3, we have the full main scheme for the zonal development. The first one is to enlarge the capacity. As I mentioned before, the 1.5 gigawatt will be released every year, and we have the 2 stages. The first stage is from the 2026 to 2031. We will release the 9 gigawatt, and then the 6 gigawatt will be released. And then there will be the 2 stages for the selection process. The first one is the capability review, and then will be the bidding process. And this phase will develop the focus on national resources integration and marine spatial planning. In this phase, the project will be built in the commercial scale. So you can see that's a little bit different. We are start from the pioneer stage and the transition stage and move on to the commercial scale. And to enhance the competitivity and diversity, so the upper limit of the capacity allocation for the sand development of the sand wind farm is 0.5 gigawatts. And so this 4 main scheme this 4 approaches the main scheme for the offshore wind developments. to conclude today's presentation, we know that because we don't have enough energy from the energy supply from Taiwan, most of our energy are rely on imported. So green energy is the core of the energy transition in Taiwan. And for about the renewable energy targets is the 29.4 gigawatts by 2025. And for the solar PV and wind energy as the two major promotion items. The solar PV target is the 20 gigawatt. And the solar PV divided into the ground types and the rooftop type. And for the offshore wind, the target is 5.6 gigawatt. And we have the 3 phases to develop the offshore wind. And we look forward to any opportunity to have the international cooperation on renewable energy development. Thank you for your attention.
All right, thank you, Dr. Tarsi Zhou, for giving this presentation on the latest developments in Taiwan in regards to renewable energy. So I'd like to ask our audience here today if you guys have any questions for Dr. Tarsi Zhou. All right, so Dr. Zhou, so I'd like to ask one question about the topic covered today. So as you know that right now, Taiwan's main focus is on solar energy and wind energy, but we know that in developing these types of energy, when the natural sources are not working, meaning that the sun is not shining, or when the wind isn't blowing, they're not really working accordingly. So that's when, and that's where energy storage plays a role here, a very important one. So I'd like to get your opinion on what role and the development, what role you see energy storage and the technologies thereof play in this specific case, and how we the latest developments of it, and how we can fit this into the bigger picture of our renewable energy development, and how they can help strengthen the development of both solar and wind energy.
Okay, thank you, Esther. So as I mentioned before, that because we don't have enough energy supply from Taiwan, so we rely on importing from other country. But so far, we imported from, for example, like all of the fossil fuel, but the renewable energy is have the intermittency problem. So actually, the energy storage is play a crucial, important role for the energy supply and energy security in the next era, maybe just from right now. But in Taiwan, the technology so far, we are still in not very start capacity. We don't have the big capacity, and also in a demonstration stage. So if we can have the more and bigger capacity to have the energy storage, it will be very important and helpful the energy to ensure our energy security.
All right, thank you for answering this important question, because we do also have energy storage companies present here today, and they have, I can see that they have so much to offer in this field, and in filling up the gap that renewable energy still hasn't been able to achieve yet, even though we have seen very much progress in the last couple of years. Thank you. All right, and next up is our speaker, Mr. Elad Topel, the head of Smart City Center in Eilat City, Israel. And Mr. Topel is going to give us a presentation about Israel's energy storage development and technology. So thank you for joining.
Hello, I will share my screen in a minute. So, 1 second. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So I've been asked to talk today about storage and the project storage and a few development that in the Israel storage market, and also about the project that we are working on to assimilate storage in Eilat city. So first of all, a short introduction about Eilat. Eilat is situated at the at the southern tip of Israel, with borders with Jordan, Egypt, and a sea border with the Saudi. And Eilat has ports and the academy. And the picture that you see now on the screen is Eilat from 1960. Eilat was established in 1949, just a year after the establishment of Israel. This picture is of Eilat from 2021, and you can see the rapid development of the city. In 1960, Eilat had 5,300 residents. Today, Eilat has 68,000. And we're not sure what's going to happen in Eilat and in Israel as a whole in 2050, but one thing that we know for sure is that it's going to be very crowded. Under any scenarios, the population is going to almost double itself towards 2050 in Israel. This has a major effect on the infrastructure, of course, and on the energy sector, and on the production of energy and consumption of energy as a whole in Israel, but specifically in Eilat, there is other implications to that. So in Eilat, as I said, there is 68,000 residents with 3 million tourists a year. Since the COVID-19 pandemic started, then during 2020, since Israel stopped the quarantines and trying to live normally, almost without any tourists in Israel, although that situation, Eilat is in constant, very high occupation of internal tourism, almost 80% or more most of the time. Eilat is also a port, a commercial port for import mainly cars to Israel, and also exporting phosphate and other minerals. It has a very good and academic facilities, mainly in marine biotechnology, and it has the most northern coral reefs in the world, which are the only ones that are not going through a bleaching process due to the rise of the temperature in the oceans. So it's a sanctuary for corals in the world. Eilat, as of today, a recent year, is consumption 100% of its daily use from renewable energy, solar only. And since that is the situation, we have started to experiment with storage since the city, the mayor vision to Eilat and the region is to get 100% all day round. We understand that we must have storage. We had other challenges since there is very high penetration of solar to the local network. Then we cannot inject any more renewable energy to the local network right now. All almost all new facilities for PV are on hold because of the fluctuation of energy. Because during daytime there is very high penetration. Again, if there is a cloud or something like that, suddenly there is a very huge drop in the use of energy, and we need to compensate. The Israel Electric Company needs to compensate for that with the normal or with the fossil fuels from the power station, mainly gas today, since the discovery of gas in Israel, then more than 40% of our use is from natural gas. Unfortunately, today, only about 5% of the energy mix is from renewable energy. Mostly 80% or more of it is solar, and the others are there's some pump storage and some wind farm up north, but very small amount of it. So in Eilat, we have solar, and our main challenge now is how to get 100% 24/7. But why, or one of the questions is why to do that? Besides, we are a small city, we don't have a big impact on climate change. So the question is why to do that? So I mentioned before, infrastructure is one of the things that we're dealing with. Get old infrastructure mainly. Energy infrastructure is something that is hard to change. So in order to get to become more resilient, energy resilient, then we need to develop the ability to disconnect specific consumers from the local grid. And also as a whole, as a city, in the view of the national network, we're working on disconnecting or developing the ability to disconnect the entire region from the grid. Now, as I mentioned before, the population growth in Israel is big, and also in Eilat we expect, today we are 68,000 residents. In 2050 we expect to be more than 120,000 residents, which have huge implications on the electricity infrastructure in the city and the ability to give services, energy services to the residents in the city. Now that's under a business as usual situation, but if we take into consideration climate change, into that, Eilat situated in a hyper desert arid area, which means that we have flash floods, and in recent years we have a unexpected and a very violent rain event, or a climate event, mainly rain. And that's, again, that poses a threat and a challenge for the infrastructure in the city, specifically for energy. Eilat is also so to say, water independent. We have our own RO. The first reverse osmosis plant in Israel was established in Eilat, and Eilat actually have its own water source, clean water source for drinking, everything. So, and that's also very high demanding facility, high demanding energy facility. We'll zoom out for a minute and then we'll get back to what we're doing in Eilat. But Eilat Eilot established already 10, I think, years ago, a VC, Capital Nature, which invest in various energy technologies. During the years, there is some development and new players in the energy market in Israel, like Chakratech, which is flywheel for storage, Ogwind, that has now last week opened the first facility in Eilot region, adjacent to Eilat, which uses compressed air and water to store energy. And we have some pump storage in Israel up north, and there is new entrepreneurs that try to establish another pump storage near Eilat. There is some experiment with the hydrogen to GenCell and other companies. There is again some development or companies that try to create better lithium-ion processes in storage. And there is a lot of importers today. The energy market, specifically the storage market, is developing very fast in Israel, and there is quite a few already players, importers, and already sites that are working, mainly small scale. We're talking about hundreds of kilowatts capacity and hundreds, up to 1,000 kilowatt hour facilities. Some of them, there is Tesla that already installed Eaton and a few more. In Eilat specifically, what we're doing, we're working actually with the Horizon 2020 in order to plan the grid and in order to assimilate storage facilities in the city. The project MuseGrid, which is planning, we are a virtual demo site, and we are working with our partners from Europe to plan the energy, the ability to disconnect the tourist area from the grid in Eilat. The project uses a virtual tool that we are developing in order to evaluate the amount of PV and the sizing of and capacity of the storage facilities, mainly lithium ion, in order to completely have the ability to completely work in islanding mode. Another project that we're doing with the partners in Israel and also abroad with Ben-Gurion University, Eilat region, Cyprus, Greece, and Sardinia in Italy. Each one has its own pilot to disconnect a local public building from the grid. We are on the verge of just before publishing the tender for taking the Yelim school in Eilat and another school, Nofedom, in Eilat, in order to install PV, storage, energy management systems to control the consumers and the consumption and the production, and to disconnect or develop the ability to disconnect the facility, the school in this case, from the grid. And this school basically is going to be a pilot in order to become an energy resilient center. When under an extreme event, the school will give services to the neighborhood and to the residents in it, such as cooling, heating, communication, and to use it to activate different volunteers to help the residents that are at risk, like elderly people and disabled. The Procure project is a PCP, which means a pre-commercial procurement. It's we are one pilot sites out of 6 in Europe, and the project takes the old terminal. Eilat has an airport that was evacuated 3 years ago, and we're taking the old terminal in the old airport, and we actually changing it to a off-grid innovation center. This center will also, will give services under extreme condition to the tourist area when in case of earthquake or extreme weather conditions. It will give the services as mentioned before. Actually, right now, this project is, the tender is published. There is approximately 9 million euros that's going to be invested in 6 pilots to develop the ability to disconnect them from the grid. But in this time, we're looking at the holistic, the entire building, including the HVAC system, lighting, smart management system inside the building, envelope, like the materials that the building is being built of, as well as the storage, PV, and the management systems. And the risk stack, which is a sort of an envelope to all of it together, is a project that deals with how to prepare the population in the city for extreme conditions, either earthquakes or extreme weather conditions. And we're working on the plans with the population in the neighborhoods in order to give them that information, what is being done and what to do in case of the emergency, as well as preparing the resilient centers in the different neighborhoods for extreme conditions in light of what I described at the beginning of the presentation. That's about it of what we're doing in terms of energy and the storage in Eilat. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Elad. So anybody has any questions for Mr. Elad Topel about energy storage? I think now this is one of the major points, major developments that people are seeking and are also looking into in the market today, especially in the bigger landscape of renewable energy.
Yes, I would like to make a comment. First of all, Elad, thank you. It was really fascinating, and we are working to publish the international tender that was issued also within our context in Taiwan. If some of our Taiwanese guests here has identified any interest or specific call for action with what Elad just mentioned here, please contact us. Our position is always to build a bridge, and the bridge is, it can provide movement in both ways. If you would like to see any business opportunities in Israel in these fields, the door is open and we are welcoming Taiwanese companies to participate in said tenders. One thing that I would like to mention that is with the Israel Export Institute as our partners, we are also joining forces with the Israeli Innovation Authority. And under this partnership, any R&D effort between an Israeli and a Taiwanese company can be supported jointly by the Israel Innovation Authority in Israel and ITRI in Taiwan. So also for Dr. Tarsi that presented before, if we can identify any specific R&D effort that we would like to pursue together, both countries will gladly support these joint ventures, joint R&D ventures. And again, please contact us for more information. Elad, thank you again. It was very, very interesting to see the type of things that are going on in Eilat. And I'm thrilled to... Yes.
Following what you said, what Mr. Tzli Lahav said, we are looking all the time for cooperation. We cooperate with different regions in the world, and we will be happy to seek and find opportunities to cooperate with the Taiwan, either companies or other municipalities or other organizations that might have common interest with us.
Yes, on a completely different topic, Eilat is also situating itself as a global innovation hub for aquaculture. And there are many Taiwanese companies with amazing capabilities in this field. So again, Elad, we will be very happy to be in touch in the future as well. Okay, Esther, the floor is yours. Take us.
Right, sure. So I'm going to take everybody on a good ride on renewable energy. So, all right, so we will keep this discussion, this interesting discussion on renewable energy. And in the meantime, like Tzli said, that with this meeting, our goal is to also help facilitate the business partnership and collaboration between Israeli and Taiwanese companies. So if you feel there is a need, and if you have any questions about partnership between the two countries, please do feel free to contact us, the Israel Economic and Trade Mission in Taipei. All right, so let's continue with our topic today. So the next one will be focused on 5 Israeli companies that will present us with their latest technologies in the solar energy and energy storage fields, respectively. The first one is Addionics. Mr. Gilad Fisher, the floor is yours. Thank you for joining in.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Let me just share my screen. Okay, hopefully everyone can see it. Can you see the blue presentation?
Yes, now we can see it.
Perfect. So hi, everyone. I'm Gilad from Addionics, and in this session, we're going to discuss about batteries. So the world is obviously on the verge of electrification, and the industry that is leading this revolution is the automotive industry with electric vehicles. But not so far behind, we can see the energy storage for renewable energy production. And I guess that in the next decade, we're gonna see a big transition of renewable energy production in all over the world, by the way. And the thing that is common to those industries and this big electricity transition is the fact that both of them need batteries, but not only batteries, but billions and billions of batteries are going to be needed in order to support this important transition. And today, unfortunately, battery technology is still lagging behind in terms of performance, if we're talking about electric vehicles, so in terms of range, in terms of charging time, and of course, in terms of cost. And there are many reasons for that, but one of the main reasons is because that most of the companies that have tried to improve batteries in the last 30 years since the invention of lithium-ion batteries was focusing only on the battery chemistry. And we believe that unlocking the next generation of battery requires focusing also on the battery physics. And this is exactly what we are doing. We at Addionics changed the battery architecture to create a real high power and high energy battery without increasing the battery cost. And what does that mean? So we allow moving from 2-dimensional electrodes, like you see on the left image. Just electrodes today are just regular metal foil from aluminum and copper, like the foil you have in your kitchen. We allow moving to 3-dimensional electrodes. That means that they're porous. They have a porous structure, which means that instead of layering the electrolyte on top of these foils, we can integrate the electrolyte inside the metal framework. And this allows us to get much higher capacity in our batteries. But it's not only about the capacity. Our structure reduced around 50% of the internal resistance, which allows us to use higher currents to fast charge the battery, around 50% less charging time. We also increase mechanical stability and improve heat dissipation of the battery to allow better safety parameters and longer lifetime. And all of these were already proved. Our biggest advantage is the fact that we're chemistry agnostic. That means that we can work with any kind of battery chemistry. And this is very unique. Sorry, someone with the microphone open. Maybe you can. Yeah, not from Israel. So our biggest advantage is the fact that we're chemistry agnostic and we're working with many kind of chemistries. I will discuss this in a few slides. We're also a drop-in solution. It means that we don't have to build new battery factories. We just take our metal foils, our 3-dimensional smart electrodes, and integrate them in existing assembly lines that can save a lot of time when we're talking about time to market and also about cost. We produce both anode and cathode, which is very unique in this industry, and we're considered a sustainable solution because we can work with any kind of new material. So if there are going to be new restrictions, also regulation about some of the materials, like we see the discussion today, this is not a problem for us because we can work with any kind of chemistry. Our solution is not only about hardware, also about software. We developed an in-house artificial intelligence algorithm that allows us to optimize the best structure, the best battery structure according to the application. We also use this algorithm to accelerate the development and reduce cost. And if we're talking about cost, this is the most important thing. So the core IP of the company is the fact that we found and developed a patent-protected, scalable and cost-effective manufacturing process to develop those three-dimensional metals. And this is the core IP and the core focus of our company. Because of all of these advantages, today, even though we're pretty early stage startup in this industry, we have a few collaborations with top leading automotive players, both OEMs and tier ones. Each one of them focus on another battery chemistry. The first one is co-development of a solid-state battery alongside with Saint-Gobain, which is a huge material conglomerate, one of the biggest in the world. And we're co-developing a solid-state battery based on their ceramic electrolyte and our three-dimensional electrode. The next project that we're developing is a silicon anode-based battery with our technology with an American tier one supplier. We're also developing an LFP-based battery with a multinational conglomerate that is going to be focused on 2- and 3-wheelers for the Asian market. And we have 2 projects with, I would say, 2 out of 10 top car manufacturers globally to develop NMC battery based on our technology, on our smart 3D electrodes. To achieve all of these ambitious goals, we assembled a great team with experts from the battery industry, automotive industry, startup scene, and supported by top leading advisors that used to play roles in companies like, as you can see, Tesla and Daimler, LG Chem. Dr. Prabhakar Patil was the CEO of LG Chem America, which used to be the biggest battery factory in United States until Tesla opened their Gigabyte factory. And our vision, to conclude all of this, is to integrate our solution into any battery in the world to accelerate the electrification process and allow a better future for everyone. So this is Addionics, and if you have any question, please feel free to ask.
All right, thank you, Gilad, for this
Sure.
interesting presentation about your 3D battery architecture. So next one would be GenCell. So Mr. Adi Austria will talk about GenCell and GenCell's technology. Please, thank you.
Hello guys, so let me share my screen. Esther, can you see my screen? It's good?
Yes, it's good.
All right. Yeah, so, good afternoon to you guys. Name is Odi from GenCell Energy. Actually, I'm based in Manila, just to let our Taiwanese friends that I'm based in the region. So I'm taking care of the Asia Pacific for GenCell. GenCell is a hydrogen-based company. I'll show you our presentation. All right, so we are a fuel cell company. So as the thing is that one of the many technologies that they're using for the energy, as discussed by Dr. Tarsi earlier, is that you have the wind, right? We have the solar, we have the batteries, of course. But one of them, of course, will be the fuel cell. So this is what the field we are in. But the thing is that for fuel cell, it's in a very, very old technology. It's been there for already centuries. Okay. However, when you're talking about fuel cell, it's mainly being connotated as on the expensive side because it's being used in the space program. Okay, so that's where the fuel cell started. However, for GenCell, we started 2011. We basically tried to commercialize in a more enterprise way. the fuel cell. So basically the tag is bringing the technology from space to Earth, something like that. But point is that it's a fuel cell technology. It's the technology that we're using is that we're using alkaline base. Alkaline base means that it's 100% clean energy. Okay, when you say 100% clean energy, it's producing energy, no carbon emission, 100%, no NOx, no nitrogen, totally clean. So this is the technology that we have. The people behind us are actually they're veterans from the space, from the fuel cell, basically coming from the space program and submarine program. So where fuel cells being used. Now, our core technology is basically using hydrogen. So when you hear about hydrogen, it actually is a clean energy. It's also being noted as the way of the future because it's, like I said, it's clean. And the good thing about it is that it's highly efficient, high efficiency. When basically our solution is that we're providing as a backup power or a primary power. I'll explain later the differentiation for the two. But right now we're using the hydrogen, and that is being fed to the system and then producing the energy. For us, the technology above inside the GenCell is that there's no battery inside. So basically we're producing energy as per load requirements. So that's the mechanism of the system. But in order to do that, our consumable, instead for like a diesel generator, the consumable will be the diesel. But for us, our consumable will be the hydrogen. Now, we also have another technology that GenCell developed. It's also our part of technology that instead of hydrogen, we're using the ammonia. Okay, so the good thing about ammonia is pretty much available everywhere. It's being used for a lot of applications, manufacturing, food processing. So it's there. It's also being used for hundreds of years. And the good thing is that GenCell developed something that we are cracking this ammonia. The good thing about ammonia is that 1 part nitrogen, 3 parts hydrogen. So it's very rich in hydrogen. So the technology that we developed is that we're breaking this molecule of ammonia, and then we're getting the hydrogen from it and fed to the system. So basically we have now two spores. One is the pure hydrogen, and one is using the ammonia. Then again, I'll explain later on which is the separation on which market that we are using both hydrogen and ammonia. And also, we're working on something that could be very significant for the technology of the fuel cell, because since today you're buying hydrogen commercially, obviously in Taipei, in Taiwan, hydrogen is pretty much available. Same goes with ammonia. But for our solution, we're developing something that we're no longer be buying ammonia. So GenCell can synthesize their own ammonia, okay, on site. Then that ammonia will be fed to the system, break down ammonia, and get the hydrogen from the ammonia. So I'll explain later on also how this works. But the good thing is that basically it will be like your totally standalone solution. There will be no more consumable that you need to buy from outside. So basically, you'll be you can be placed in the middle of nowhere producing your energy 24 hours a day without any logistic. So also the core technology of GenCell is that we're using when you're talking about fuel cell, the reference there is that you're using the fuel cell stack. So this fuel cell stack, basically all fuel cell technology are using this. The dependency of the fuel cell technology is that you're using the platinum. Okay, so platinum is a noble material. Actually, today it's only being imported coming from South Africa. Okay, so all fuel cell companies, whether European or American brand or any other fuel cell, are using this platinum. For GenCell, the good thing about our technology is that for GenCell, we're not using platinum. We develop our own. It's our patent technology. But instead of buying platinum, we're not doing that. So we develop our own in our manufacturing house in Israel. So from there on, it's a mix of cathode and anode, basically. But it's our trade secret. But the point is that we're not buying any noble materials outside. Everything is produced in our bucket. So in this way, basically GenCell is an R&D company developing basically everything from our in-house and selling it globally. Right. So on the OpEx side, again, as I mentioned to you, our operational will be the use of the hydrogen, that is one, and the use of ammonia. And the good thing about that is that, like I said, it's very clean. And also when it comes to the ammonia, commercially available, actually it's more cheaper than diesel. So now we're talking about, you know, a continuous use of the system, which is the source, is quite cheap. And bottom line is 100% clean. All right, so let me, so this is our product portfolio. So basically we have a technology that we call it GenCell box. This is used as a backup power. So in this case, we are using the hydrogen. Okay, usually the hydrogen that is coming from cylinders, and that cylinder of hydrogen you can basically buy in any major cities globally. You can buy hydrogen because hydrogen, like I said, hydrogen is being used in manufacturing. Hydrogen is being used in hospitals, so to speak. So basically, it's there. It's just we're tapping this new consumable as for the fuels. So we're using the hydrogen. It comes in cylinder and then fed to the system. But then again, this is a backup power. So we're basically a UPS, except that there's no battery inside. Okay, so we're providing immediate backup power. When the grid is down, immediately we're taking the responsibility. Or if the grid is unstable, again, we're taking the responsibility. So you're providing the power at the same time you're safeguarding the load, making sure it's stable. So that is for the backup power. The other solution that we have is for the primary power. So again, by the say primary power is that we're using the ammonia. So the ammonia now is that we're putting it on the site, and then we start the system. It will provide you power continuously. It's like basically your mini nano power plant that you can provide that you can run 24 hours a day for the whole year nonstop. But then you can only do the refuel of the ammonia maybe once a year. So depending on the size of ammonia in tanks that you are getting, you can even have one refueling in every 2 years. So the point is that you're saving a lot of money on the OpEx side because you only need to deliver only once a year. Again, as I mentioned to you, generally ammonia is also way cheaper than diesel. Okay, and of course, on top of that, all of them are IP-based. You can manage it by a cloud. So regardless how many units that you have deployed, then you can manage them from your simple iPad or any IP device. Okay. So this is what it looks like. So for the backup power, we're using the box. So you're using the hydrogen. So basically, you can have a cylinder of hydrogen, or you can have like in the picture, you can have a bundle of hydrogen that again you're providing as a backup system. It's a UPS. Second thing is that the other one will be the ammonia. So it comes in the shelter. So this one, you're using the ammonia. So let's say you can, commercially you can buy half a ton, 1 ton, 3, 6, 12, 18, and 22 tons. So if you can have a 12 ton, ideally, just for the sake of discussion, let's say the telco tower, like behind me, the telco tower, you can be based on any location. And then you can have a 12 ton from the telco side. A 12-ton tank of ammonia is good enough to power the site 24 hours a day for the whole year. So basically, you will have a power constantly, okay, guaranteeing that there will be no interruption to your business. Now, the good thing again on the technology that we have is that all of these are 100% clean, no carbon, and basically, if I'm not sure yet in Taiwan what will be the regulation, but usually, governments are coming now with the incentives, especially if you are using the fuel cell, and you're getting an incentive that, as a new user of the technology, and perhaps that can be also manifested in Taiwan.
So I'm sorry, Mr. Austria. So as we are moving towards the next speaker, I'd just like to remind you that we have 2 minutes left.
Sure.
Thank you.
So, okay, just a quick one. So this is what we are looking today. So let's say you have a site, you deliver the ammonia on site once a year, then you're good to go to run your site or your power constantly in 1 year. Again, we're developing something like this together with our partner TDK. TDK is a Japanese conglomerate on R&D also. So they invested a lot on this endeavor to speed up the development. So the idea now is that we are developing our own ammonia on site, and that ammonia will be fed to our ammonia cracker, break it down, and get the hydrogen fed to the system. So basically, you can put the system anywhere you want. You will have a continuous running system 24 hours a day. And the good thing is that the fuel cell generator can give you 15 to 20 years running time. So that's basically the idea. So whether it's a backup power or primary power, the point is that it's 100% clean, and then no noise, no vibration, and also it can work in extreme environment. Minus 40 degrees, it's not valid in Taiwan, of course, but it can also work in plus 50, 55 degrees offshore, anywhere you want. So basically, these are the targets that we have from off-grid, telecom, substation, power utilities, water pumps or oil and gas, hospitals. So these are including the EV charging and hydrogen fuel station. Point is that anything that requires power, we can be a complementary solution to those requirements. All right, Esther, thank you.
All right, thank you, Adi. So thank you for your explanation on the hydrogen and ammonia solutions and your backup power solutions with this new technology. So next up is Raycatch, a company with their AI diagnostic system for PV plants and their solutions. So Philip, the floor is yours.
Yes. Thank you, Esther. Hello, everyone. My name is Philip Reutemann. I'm the Chief Business Officer of Raycatch. I just sent you in the chat my email address so you can use it. I'm going now to share a presentation. So please confirm that you can see it. That's the case? All right, so let's start. So I'm going to present you Raycatch, our company, and Deep Solar, our solution. But let's first start with 3 whys. First of all, our solution is an artificial intelligence solution for solar assets. So why AI for solar assets? It is because the solar data accuracy and quality that you can get from your solar assets is not good enough for making accurate and fast decisions. And literally, the owners are leaving money on the ground, either because they're not generating as much energy as they should, or because they are paying too much and wasting too much money. The second why is why Raycatch. The reason is because we have over 10 years in the solar field. We have a unique AI expertise that enable us to provide what we consider being the #1 advanced analytic tool in the market. And why now? It's because there has been two significant trends in the last decade in the solar market. First, decreasing margins and an increasing amount of assets, because the solar market is developing very well, and you have more and more assets and that are larger and larger. So this demands to improve the asset performance, to improve the operational cost, and to simplify the management. So this is where we come. This is why we created the Raycatch. Raycatch has been founded 6 years ago. We have today 25 employees, and most of our money has been poured into our R&D, and into our Deep Solar, which is a digital solar asset management optimization solution. It has been developed by AI experts, physicists, software engineers, and solar electrical engineers. It's a pure SaaS platform, which means that there is no hardware. We don't have to come to the plant. We just need access to the data, and we take it from here. And it is an AI-based system that has been already trained and tested on more than 5 gigawatts of plants. It's about 200 PV plants, and actually we are now closer to 6 gigawatts. And this is across the world. And this includes, by the way, Taiwan. We detect from 8 to 8% of recoverable energy. Also, we enable a reduction of operating costs from 5% to 30%. And among our company customers are world-class asset owners. So you have here example of customers that we have. We have, from utilities to large funds, to IPPs, to asset manager companies, to O&M companies. We've been working with EPCs, and you see this is quite global. The first question is about, okay, the first one, why data cleansing and pattern recognition are needed? Because this is what we have to start with. This is our core engine, AI engine is about that. And this is a graph that shows a typical daily power curve of an inverter. I hope that everyone knows about it. I think that most of you at least should. And basically, you have a lot of impacts, whether internal impacts or external impacts. Internal, can be just the accuracy of the hardware itself and also the sensor. External, it can be, the shading. The morning can be inter-row shading, during the day clouds or grass. You can have also missing data, clipping cap, and many additional things that are impacting the performance of your plants. And if you are not capable of doing a root cause analysis to know why your panel is performing better or less, depending on the radiance, depending on temperature, of shading, and so on and so forth, then basically it's garbage in, garbage out. If you cannot do this kind of root cause analysis, you cannot know what is happening truly in your plant, and hence you cannot know what to do. And this is where we come. Raycatch provide a unique unmatched AI system that first answers the critical need of data cleansing. We provide with Deep Solar an automatic high granularity data cleansing solution that generates up to 100% accuracy, which means that we have no false positives. If you are sending you an alert, you can be sure you don't have to double check. It is exactly what is happening. Okay, whether it is related, you are cleaning all the raw data issues, all the external impacts. But also we have pattern recognition. So beyond the cleansing, we can also understand what is actually happening, where are the faults coming from. And thanks to that, we can also afterwards, when we know what is the problem, we can prioritize what needs to be done. Okay, because we are going to take the actual, let's say, the recoverable energy that you can get after fixing the issue. And then we can prioritize, let's say, for the operation team, say, hey, you have to start your day by doing this first, because this is going to generate more money. And this is, you should not go for it, because you are not going, to generate enough money compared to the cost it's going to cost you to send a technician. So basically, when you take together the data cleansing and the pattern recognition, ROI-based prioritization, we're unlocking unique advanced features to maximize the solar asset performance. I'm going to give you a single example, which is sorting and washing optimization. Okay, and in Taiwan, I trust that sorting is an important aspect. So our system has such an accuracy, and here you need an accuracy of below 0.15% in order to be able to do what we are now presenting. Is we are going to tell you where to wash only in the area where the panels are the most soiled ones. And by the way, this kind of algorithm can work also for grass and can also work for snow. For example, in Japan, we are using this kind of technology for the snow, because you need to shovel and you need to know where to focus your work. And beyond that, we are also optimizing the washing planning. Let's say that in Taiwan, you are focusing in the summer, you are doing X, let's say 6 washings during the summertime. We can tell you based on our deep learning system, we're going to take all your historic and say, you know what, don't pay so much, because every washing means, $1,000 to $2,000 per megawatt. We're going to tell you, instead of 6, just do 5 and do this at these dates, because this is what is most cost effective. There is another key need that I mentioned at the beginning, which is related to the fact that more and more assets, larger and larger, and then this multiplies the management complexity, and we provide a solution to that. First of all, it's a fit for all and unifying platform that can be used by the CEOs to the field technicians. We are integrating and unifying all the different platforms. For example, if you have several monitoring systems, we are going to unify everything into a single platform. And it is also one-stop shop strategy. We are providing the ticketing if you want. It will be integrated and smart. Database management if you want, monitoring soon as well if you want, and so on and so forth. Also, it's an intuitive and automated platform. It's user-friendly. As I mentioned, you have the ROI-based prioritization which means that it just enables you to focus on what is important. And also we provide automatic report generation for everyone, for the owner, for the asset manager, for the asset operator. And it is something that usually takes days for our clients, and afterwards, just after one single click. These are examples of already optimized plans. I won't go into details here, but just you can note here in the middle that we, in Taiwan as well, for example, these are already optimized plans, meaning that our clients consider that they were okay. And we saw actually in Taiwan that there were 160 strings that perform very significantly below the specifications of the manufacturer. This is what our client tells about us. You can see here EDF Renewables, a global renewable company. They mentioned our highly accurate data and effective technical due diligence report. I will mention that briefly at the end. And performance, PTT, I would say closer to Taiwan, in Thailand, that are, they said that, we're identifying performance issues and we can detect previously invisible performance issues. And Ecoenergy, which is a company based in Italy that did a wide benchmark on all the solutions and all the potential competitors, they say that the solutions that we provide has such capabilities that monitoring solutions do not even come close to it, meaning that we are way above our competition thanks to our accuracy. So now for rural solution, so basically for all the players, the asset owners, with the utilities, IPPs, funds, for the asset managers, for the O&Ms, whether internally or as a provider, and even for the EPCs, because they have to do the commissioning. And we provide deep solar, but we also what we call the technical due diligence, which identifies the hardware components performance compared to the manufacturer data sheet. We are going to tell you, okay, this is how you have to ensure that the plant is well constructed for the pack and FAC processes. And it also provides a baseline for future asset performance. And then, as an EPC, when you provide that back to the asset owner, you have an happy asset owner. So I thank you. I stop here. Again, this is my email address. If you have any further question, please ask using my email address. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Philip, for this presentation and the information that you gave us. And our next speaker will be SolarEdge, and the SolarEdge's Taiwan branch will give us a presentation on their business operations and their technology in Taiwan. So the floor is yours, Sean.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Sean Lee from SolAround Technology Taiwan office. It's my pleasure to attending this event. SolAround is ranked #1 PV inverter company in the world. We have delivered more than 3.3 million inverters and accumulate 27.6 gigawatt capacities to the customer site. And we have about 4,000 employees all over the world, and with 380 patents and 368 additional patent application. And our system is we reach 2.3 million monitoring systems in the world. SolAround has 43,000 installers over the 133 countries. And we have presence in 31 countries. Also, we also have a regional service center like we do in Taiwan. We are Taiwan branch office. For the market share growth, according to IHS PV inverter market report, we can see on a table that shows world PV inverter supply rankings in revenue. We become top 10 from 2014, and we become the #1 in 2018. So we delivered what we have committed for and gain market leadership position in PV inverter in key strategy markets. Okay, we'll move on SolarEdge solution. For example, there is a commercial rooftop PV system. The optimizers are installed under the PV modules and connect into the string to PV inverter. And we have our inverter has Ethernet port, can connect to our monitoring platform. It's free for 25 years. And we offer 12 to 20 years warranty for the inverters. And we offer 25 years for warranty for optimizers. And we also offer our commercial gateway with environmental sensors to our customer. Before we introduce SolarEdge benefits, I would highlight the limitation of traditional inverters. The first one, the energy loss. Traditional string inverters find the point of maximum power output only at the string level, not the individual module level. And it will prevent individual modules from reaching their maximum production. And the design flexibility. String inverter, they designed it will has a limit of the system layout and size. And traditional inverter only have a low resolution monitoring system. You cannot see the module performance. And for the safety, traditional inverter will remain high voltage at module level even when the inverter or AC power is off. It's very dangerous for some incident happen. For SolarEdge solution, we split traditional inverter functionality into two devices. The first one, the power optimizer. It will maximize the power harvesting from each module, and it will feedback on module performance. Also, we reduce PV wires to a safe voltage when grid is shut down. The next, the PV inverter. It's designed with a fixed voltage inverter and responsible for DC-AC conversion. With the simple design device, so it has high reliability. And the inverter will manage grid interaction also. Besides two devices, we have a monitoring platform is free, and users can see full visibility of system performance and also alerts on system issues. Easy access from a computer, smartphone, and a tablet. There are 4 key benefits for SolarEdge can offer. We offer more energy, so it increase energy yield and faster ROI, return on investment through module level MPPT. And we reduce the cost of O&M operation and maintenance. So maintenance engineer, they can see, they check the system from the website of our monitoring system. They can see the performance and remote troubleshooting. Enhance the safety during the installation, maintenance, firefighting, and other emergencies. And we have also the flexibility design. It can increase the space utilization and with minimum design time. Besides solar energy solution, we also have energy storage system solution. So we have Qualcomm battery factory. Qualcomm is a global tier 1 provider of innovative battery solutions. And we provide for utility scale, ESS, UPS, EV, and more applications. and proven technology for more than 685 megawatt-hour battery deployed. There are over 175 megawatt-hour of battery belong to utility scale ESS. And we have our innovative cell chemistry technology with long cycle lifetime and high power Li-ion battery. To expand our capacity of the battery, we have SolAround, a 2 gigawatt Li-ion cell factory. Is under construction and expected to begin production in early 2022. And there are some site reference in Taiwan. You can see the picture. There's a PV tree. There are so many solar panels, and they are facing a different direction and different angle. So it's very suitable for using SolAround optimizer solution. And for the commercial system rooftop, we have biggest one like a 5.8 megawatt rooftop system. And you can see also that we can, the installers can install as many as solar panels on the rooftop. And we also provide our solution for carport solution, and also the ground mount system, and also floating system. We have 2 megawatt floating system already commissioning, and another 13 megawatt floating system is under construction. And next year we will have more and more ground mount and floating system in Taiwan. All right, thank you for your time, and this is my sharing of SolAround technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean, for sharing the technology from SolarEdge and the inverter solutions, as well as your use cases in Taiwan. I'm happy to also see your success in Taiwan here. All right, and our next speaker is Mr. Avishai Drori from SolAround, who will be sharing their bifacial solar technology with us today. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Will you see my presentation?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for your time and the opportunity. I will speak today about SolAround. We developed a special technology for bifacial solar cells. We're not the only ones, but we are hopefully the best ones and the best economical cell, and I will tell you more about it now. So let's begin with the solar revolution that all of us know. Solar is going to be the main renewable source, as we saw. And the main driver in the solar market, in the solar PV market, is actually bringing down the cost of energy, the LCOE. And one of the main trends in the industry is actually to use bifacial, double-sided solar cells, which collect the energy also from the from the backside of the system. There is a substantial amount of energy traveling there, and we are collecting it. Our next slide is showing this diagram. What are actually bifacial cells? So we use the upper front side of the panels as everybody, but we also use the great amount of energy which is reflected from ground and coming directly from the atmosphere and clouds into the backside, rear side of the system. And the amount of collection of energy from the rear side depends mainly on two parameters. One is the reflection of the ground, the albedo. The more white the ground is, the more reflection and the more energy is collected into the system. The second parameter is the bifaciality, meaning how efficient is the panel on its back. And it seems to be that on a white flat rooftop, we find more than 40% of additional energy, additional sun energy, 0.4 sun, additional 0.4 sun, which can be collected from the backside. And if we have bifaciality like SolAround of 90% relative to the front side, we actually collect 90% of the reflected energy to the backside. Here we see a few examples. Let's go quickly from the left-hand side. We see a rooftop, white flat rooftop in Germany, systems of ours which were installed and are installed for many years there. The gain we get there is around 30%, and when the roof is white and well treated, even 40% more energy, with 60 to 80% albedo. In the middle side, we see another system of N-type solutions of megacell in the desert of Atacama. You can see, I wanted to indicate the white covering of the ground. In the first years, they did not cover the black soil, and the energy was 2.5 megawatts. And after 1 year, they covered it with white gravel, and everything jumped and boosted in 20% at least. And we see on the right-hand side, dual uses of bifacial solar panels collecting energy from the upper side, but of course also from the rear side. The reflection from ground, sometimes in the winter, it's less because the crops are green, and the same crops become yellow in the summer and reflect much more. And we see in the lower side of the slide, we see BIPV solutions using bifacial solar cells, solar fences, acoustic fences around airports, along highways, along trainways, and of course, carports. So what are the benefits of our technology? So actually we are using a technology which is called effective boron BSF process. We are the only group, the only company worldwide who is doing this effective boron BSF process in P-type silicon. It is usually done only successfully only in expensive N-type silicon and N-type cells. We do it on P-type. We have higher efficiency potential. We have a potential like N-type, over 23%. We have higher bifaciality, over 90%. The higher stability of along 35 years. We have zero LID. We have minimal PID, so we are much more stable and degrade less along the years. So basically, we provide N-type performance in P-type panels. Okay, our IP is protected, and we are ready for mass production. And we started some mass production in Taiwan. I will go into it. I will skip this technological slide. We're just saying that we have here a few secret layers composing the boron BSF nano layers, which are very stable, done in a very high temperature in the beginning of the process. And this is why our cells are very high efficiency, but still very, very stable. We can implement our technology in almost every line, P-type line, N-type line, by only adding 2 to 3 standard tools. This is lowering the risk of any program that we're doing around the world. The bottom line of our LCOE is that we are better than PERC bifacial by 10% LCOE. We are lower, and we are 25% better than monofacial systems. Just to show some numbers, I'll not dive into the numbers, but we actually, when you're talking about the solar farm and the non-financial parameters, we are increasing IRR by more than 50%. We are increasing per 1 gigawatt. Per 1 gigawatt installations, a set of installations, we increase the NPV by $160 million, okay, for 30 years on regular ground. And we go up to $450 additional million for such a farm on white flat rooftops, which reflect much more energy, of course. Who are we? So I will start with our scientist. Dr. Levi Kreinin is our chief scientist. He is one of the two inventors of bifacial solar cells worldwide. 40 years ago in Russia, at that time only for space satellites. Bifacial solar cells were very expensive, but today they came down to the same cost of PERC cells. Professor Eisenberg is our CTO, well known in the nanotechnology and nano-optics domain, but also in photovoltaics. I'm coming from a defense industry background. We worked with Taiwan many years in the defense parts, and then I'm now in the solar, and we have our VC, Terra Venture Partners, who is a well-known venture in Israel with a portfolio of 30 energy companies. Just to give you in a nutshell, we have a vast background in production of cells, development of cells, production of cells, mass production, certification of panels, etc. And we're the only company in Israel who are really mass producing bifacial solar cells. Our business model is actually to work with energy companies and with manufacturers, meaning that this triangle of manufacturing PV cells, bringing large orders from energy companies, and us, SolAround, bringing the technology, can bring a lot of money to the table and increase, as I said, the IRR and NPV of solar projects by tens of percents. We plan to grow to 10 gigawatts of our technology within a few years. We are also dealing with future perovskite silicon tandem cells, and we're also starting to look at the P-paired cells for space. We are the optimal solution also for space, and as the microsatellites market is growing and emerging, we want to be there as well. And let's talk about Taiwan and SolAround. So actually, SolAround cells are superior, as I said, in bifaciality, efficiency, stability, performance, all the parameters I mentioned. We started a mass production pilot in Taiwan 2 years ago with one of the dignified companies. I'll not mention the name, but everything was actually on hold, put on hold due to the COVID. We could not fly to Taiwan. They could not fly to us. Now everything is shut down. The airport in Israel are shut down at the moment for certain people. So basically, we are looking for a company. We will, of course, continue that pilot with that company, but we're looking to collaborate with more solar companies in Taiwan. We're looking, as I said, for collaborations with energy companies and with PV solar manufacturers. I see here in the audience some very good people that we spoke with in past, and I would like to really renew the connections and work with Taiwanese companies. So this is what we're looking for, and in a nutshell, we are a solar technologies company. We have developed the expert with all the parameters I described. The IP is registered also in Taiwan, China, and almost everywhere. And we're looking to collaborate with energy companies and EPCs and utilities and manufacturers. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Avishai, for giving such an informative presentation. And we like to see, that together going forward, there will be new business opportunities and partnership between you and Taiwanese companies. So thank you for joining in today.
Thank you.
So thank you all for joining in this session and this webinar. As we mentioned before, that this is a webinar for today with the speeches, but we will be arranging B2B meetings between Israeli and Taiwanese companies on the following days. So guys, I will be in contact. I'll be in touch with all of you to arrange B2B meetings based on your request and your interest. So let's keep in touch. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, you can also raise your question now. And if not, we will be ending this session shortly. Okay, also Celine and then Yuval, you or Lila, you have anything to add?
No, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, okay. So let's keep in touch, and thank you guys for joining in. We will see. We'll meet again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.